Light Slivers, Canyon de Chelly. Although this is the same sandstone formation, I was really motivated to paint this scene because of the different temperatures. The foreground cliffs were so much warmer and so much more red, and with the atmosphere, the distant cliffs in that purple. So the main motivation for the painting was the play off of those two. And the road adds to the depth, and I like to paint what I see, and that road is there, and rather than have it a river wash or something, I put what was there in the painting. And the title comes from the little sliver of light on that vertical cliff on the left, as well as the horizontal light on the cottonwoods. Little slivers of light that you often get when you're in a deep canyon like this. Shiprock Shadows and Shelter is more of a story piece of the area around Shiprock, New Mexico. I just really like the idea of living in these homes like the Navajo do, and then this being your view or the backdrop, and just being so magnificent. And the history and the folklore behind it I was really drawn to as well. But I played with this one a little bit to get the shadowed foreground, and it created a little more depth and in the painting, as well as the idea of the passing cloud shadows. And also I put Shiprock in the center of the painting a little more to give it more of a graphic and higher sense of design. Badwater, Basin, Death Valley. This piece was motivated a lot by color, the intense color of the sky and all the ochres and the reds of the distant mountain. And I also tried to inject a lot of color into those shadows. But I was also really drawn to the salt flats of Badwater Basin. Because I live in Montana and I paint a lot of snow scenes, this was close to my heart as it looked a lot like snow. But the trick was to make it look like a salt flat and not like snow. And that's where the little formations of the rifts of salt really came key to this painting to make it look like the salt that actually was there. Conduit to the Colorado is in the Lee's Ferry area of Arizona. And this is a little dry wash that leads to the Colorado River that's just out of sight of the last bend of this wash. I was really struck by the reflected light in this scene, the sand being so high key, it reflects almost like snow up into these cliff walls of the wash. And I just liked how, as it got closer to the viewer, it got more intense and more rich in color. But also that this is the same sandstone formation that's all the way in the distance, so it goes from that deep Indian red all the way to a cool blue in the distance. And I really like that aerial perspective. Desert Whisper is in the Vermilion Cliffs area of Arizona. And this was actually painted with some friends, Glenn Dean and Logan Ajej and Jeremy Lipking at Logan's Place in the Vermilion Cliffs area. And we set up to paint it was a full moon, so we set up to paint these clouds that were rolling through at night. And to do the nocturnes, typically I have a headlamp pointed at my palette to mix the color. I'll turn it off and observe the scene without the aid of the light and let my eyes adjust, and then go back to turn on the light and paint or mix my colors again and put down what I saw from memory. Autumn Arroyo is a scene near Lone Pine, California. And I'm really drawn to high key scenes, meaning that the value of the colors are towards the higher end, closer to white. And so I was really drawn to this bright wash, and then the chamisa in full bloom, along with the distant blue of the mountains. I really like the play of the yellow and oranges and warms against that distant blue. Desert Cadence. I really like the shadow shapes and how they made an interesting pattern. That's kind of where I got the title of Cadence, like a rhythm. Eastern Sierras. Really like the light kind of ringing in that backlit mountain. It's lots of color, but it holds as one big blue shape. And that with the play off the warm foreground with pinks and ochres and oranges, I thought was just a great color combination, complementary. Life in Death Valley is Furnace Creek in Death Valley, and it's amazing when you're driving down that highway, expanse of desolation and just oppressive heat, and then you see this thriving little community with palm trees and all sorts of vegetation. It's just quite a contrast. And frankly, I'm a little bit envious that people have that view. It was just amazing. Echoes is a painting of Canyon de Chelly, and the title came from the idea of the light kind of echoing through the canyon. This foreground cliff on the right really picked up the reflected light across, and I liked calling it kind of an echo of light rather than a reflected light. But the echoes, the auditory echoes in the canyon are amazing as well. Monument moment is Monument Valley. This was a scene from where we met our guide who took us back. His name was Ronnie Yazzie, and he took us back to see Susie Yazzie. And Susie's place is just around that corner of the base of that cliff on the right. And I really like this piece, the reflected light on the cliffs and just that weight and mass of that dark shape and kind of a striking design. Led the viewer's eye back to it with the sage. Harmony is a painting from southern Utah, and this is one of my favorite pieces I've done lately, and I'm not sure exactly why, other than it's the color combinations, and there's some subtle purples and some blues on that cliff and the shadow side at the base that just really speak to my aesthetic. And I really felt it was successful the way that light cuts across, and the pine trees and junipers are lit up and just created this nice harmony of color. Quiet finale is the view of the Vermilion Cliffs area of Arizona. I believe those are the Echo Cliffs in the distance that are lit up. And this is just that last little touch of light at the end of the day. And I was really struck of how intense that color was when you have the foreground and shadow like that. And then I take every opportunity I can to inject some more rich or interesting color, and hence the turquoise in the distance, or the little spots of color in the foreground, which when it was in shadow gave me some liberty to explore.
Josh Elliott's paintings, they bring to life the desert, and I don't care where you are. You can be in Death Valley, Canyon de Chelly, southern Utah, and there's a feeling of emotion and time and sense and light, and always that light. I love looking at these paintings. I never get tired of looking at Josh's paintings, because each time I look at it, I see a little something different. And this is a wonderful exhibit of Josh Elliott's work.